So the next farm mini piece that we're going to look at creating is a recording of two garlic cloves. So they're quite round in shape. So before I start getting the detail in, all I'm going to do is just sort of very, very lightly with my pencil, just sort of map out where they go. Map out the shape and just look at the space that is between the farm and the edge of the box, and just make sure that yours is quite similar, because we're trying to be accurate. Just looking at the space between where things are, and we always keep things nice and sketchy just to start off with. So I've got the rough idea of what one of the garlic cloves, what the shape is. Now I'm just going to have a little look at that back one. It goes right up near the edge of the box, but doesn't touch it. Now that clove goes near, the top of that clove goes near the corner of the box, so I've got that in the right place. Now I might have to adjust the shape of this one in front. So you'll realise that with farms we tend to start off with lines and shapes before we put the farm in place, and we get a farm through the use of tone. There we go. I would probably say I've got an accurate-ish shape. So now that I've got that in place, I can start to look at some of the shapes in more detail. So I'm still going to be light with my pencil, because I still might get some of this wrong as I'm figuring it out. And if I've made any dark lines, I'm just rubbing them out so that they're lighter. So out of all the formal elements, I would probably say shape is one of the, if not the most important formal element, because if you don't have that initial shape correct, you will find it hard to do the other stuff that you want to do. And it won't look like what you want it to look like. So I'm just roughly sketching this in, and I'm aware that I probably will have to change the shapes as I'm going along. And for now, I would say I'm happy-ish with the shape of that bottom one, so I'm going to move onto the top one. And start to get this shape right. There we go. I'm still a little bit unhappy with this shape down here, so I'm still figuring it out. There we go, I'm a bit more happy with that shape. So, once you've got your shape as accurate as possible, and you're spending a little bit of time working on that, then you can start to add in this shading. Now, the lovely thing about these nice sort of curvy organic shapes is that when you start to shade them, you will follow all of those lovely curvy shapes that you've just drawn. So, for example, this little bumpy area here, I'm just going to start in the middle, but as I start to work round this part of the shape, my curving, I'm just using lines, is going to start to mirror and become parallel to that shape that I've already created. Now, I've noticed I've put in a little bit too much tone up at the top, so I'm just taking it out. And we know that when we use lines, because we've done this before, if you want a dark tone, you use more lines, and if you want a light tone, you use less lines. Now, we don't want to smudge any of that because those individual little lines that we're creating are detail. We want to keep detail. So again, we can use pressure to create a darker tone, but we can also use layering and more lines to create a dark tone.